I was just wondering, is it possible that any other humans or animals could have survived the flood that basically took over the entire earth?
The answer to that is absolutely not. I've been asked that question many times before, and usually it comes because people don't understand how powerful Noah's flood was. The explosion of that subterranean chamber ripped around the planet at 12,000 miles per hour. It was faster than the speed of sound. If you saw it, you would hear no sound. The next thing you know, if you saw it, less than a second later, you were dead. That's how fast it was moving. It buried everything under 10,000 feet of water. What actually happened was that the continent sank, okay? If it would destroy a brachiosaurus, all right, the most powerful land animal that ever lived, 52 tons, 110,000 pounds, believe me, there's no human being that could survive that devastation.
Wow, wow. That is intense.
Yes.
Wow. Let's go to our second question. Do we have anyone else? Right over there.
When you're checking the truth of things against the Bible, how can you be sure you have the correct interpretation when there are so many different interpretations and translations going around?
Most biblical scholars encourage people to use several different translations of the Bible, and I certainly do. Just about all of them are good translations, and they can give you different perspectives. You can use some direct translations from the Greek and Hebrew. You can use paraphrased versions if you want to try to gain understanding. And of course, today with the computers, and we have transliterations of the Bible in Greek and Hebrew, you can look for the Greek and Hebrew words and find out exactly what they mean. I like to tell people, if you take the widest, particularly when we're talking about dates in the Bible, which are the most controversial, if you take the widest divergence of all the translations, the Bible is from 6,100 years to 7,300 years. That's just a little bit over 1,000 years difference, no matter which translation you use. Any translation shows that evolution is not true. For me, I take the short age, the youngest, 6,100 years. Why? Because that matches the scientific evidence that we have. Solar nebulae, helium decay, and the ages of trees and moon dust. All of those we can measure fairly exactly. We're right almost at the 6,000 year mark. But I recommend that you use different translations to try to, whatever will help and increase your meaning for the Bible.
Has there been any evidence to substantiate the accuracy of the scriptures we have today?
Oh, absolutely. We have many old documents that predate Christ. Okay, we don't have the original books of Moses that Moses wrote with his actual hand. But again, some of the best evidence that I have found is that supporting the flood to show that the Bible is true.
Okay.
We have found the ossuary, that is the bone box of Caiaphas, Jesus' brother James. Okay, so for many years, archaeologists refused to believe that Pontius Pilate existed until they found his name carved on a stone that was part of the wall of the temple. So all of the Bible, the evidence, the more evidence that we find that the Bible is true.
I heard a quote, someone said that the Bible is an anvil that has worn out many hammers.
Yes, it has. It has.
Do we have a third question anywhere? Right over there.
This is for the professor. As a law professor, do you sometimes find some conflicts between your spirituality and the laws that you have to teach and practice? And if so, how do you handle that?
There are many conflicts between the things that I know are true as a Christian and the laws that we have. Some of them are contemporary laws, some of them are past laws. Probably one of the greatest people that had to deal with that was Martin Luther King Jr. That is, the laws of his day in the Jim Crow era were counter to the laws of God. And he made it very clear, when a human law is not supported by the law of God, we have a duty to disobey such laws. Okay? And that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing for many people to do. So I teach that to my class. That is, there is a higher law to human law. And what's most important is that we know what those higher laws are. So that's what I teach in my jurisprudence classes.
That's amazing. You know, during the Nuremberg trials after World War II, when the Nazis were brought onto the stand, with criminal charges, they were asked, why did you do this? Why did you slaughter these Jews? And they said, we're just following the laws of their land. But the prosecutors and the court appealed to what they called the higher law. And they said, look, there's a higher law that's above the laws of the land. So that's really remarkable.
Yes, I like the way you put that. Martin Luther King Jr., he said, everything that the Nazis did was legal according to their law. Hitler broke no law in Germany. Okay? But that is, there are laws, and then there are God's laws. And we must always obey God rather than men.
That's right. All right, do we have another question? Right over there.
Were there any insects on the ark? And if so, why did Noah choose to bring them on?
Well, now I'm going to have to be honest. We don't have biblical evidence of that, but however, insects are very hardy. And just like the giants of the sea, which you can see here down in front of the ark, the giant Tyrannosaurus, a Plesiosaurus, blue whales, the giants of the sea were not on the ark, and certainly while many of them died, sufficient survived for them to exist today. So we're probably fairly certain that there were insects on the ark, on the animals at that time, and they survived the flood. Seeds survived the flood. Okay, even though they could have bought them on the ark, a seed can survive in salt water for over a year. Yes, and be carried in the air.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So they survived.
Huh. Do we have another question? Right over there.
So if they were transported, how would you say fish, sharks, dolphins, whales, how are they stored on the ark?
One of the things we like to do is of course we have the largest animal that ever lived, a blue whale, in front of the ark there. A blue whale is about 300,000 pounds, 100 feet long. And you can easily see that if you had the desire, if you were crazy enough to do it, you could actually fit 4 full-size blue whales on the ark. There'd be no real reason to take a full-size blue whale on the ark for 2 reasons. Number one, it can survive in the water. And number two, if you wanted to take a blue whale on the ark, why would you take a full-size one? That is, it'll die sooner. Even though they live to be 90 years, you would take a small one, okay? And that would save space. You can see here on the top of our ark, we have a full-size Brachiosaurus, and right beneath it, we have a baby Brachiosaurus. A full-size Brachiosaurus is 110,000 pounds, all right, 50 tons. If you wanted to take one and you wanted to care for it, certainly it would fit, 4 of them would easily fit on the ark. And it would only take up 0.3% of the volume of the ark, a full-size Brachiosaurus. But again, it will die sooner. It has lots of waste. Why take a full-size one when you can take a baby? You can see how small. It's about the size of a large cow, a baby Brachiosaurus. So you wouldn't need to take the giants of the sea, the giant Tyrannosaurus, which is probably what was described in Job as the Leviathan. You wouldn't have to take a Brachiosaurus, which again described in Job, probably the behemoth with a tail like a cedar. You wouldn't have to take the giants of the sea on the ark, and the giants of the land you could take as babies if you just wanted to conserve space. And all of the animals, all of their food, all of their water fit on the first deck of the ark. The other 2 decks were empty.
Major Coleman, but where are dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible?
Well, I just mentioned that in Job. That is, we have behemoth. It says that he had a tail like a cedar. He says he has bones like bronze and legs like iron. And I'm saying that certainly looks pretty close to a Brachiosaurus to me. The Leviathan, in Job it says, can you put a hook in its nose? Can you capture it with a harpoon? It says its scales are like iron. And you can see the size. If you look at a Tyrannosaurus down there low on the ark, you can see its size compared to a human being. It could swallow you, right, in one gulp, all right? Probably wouldn't even have to chew. So they were at certain, and the equivalent size of a Brachiosaurus. So there are not only dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible, but we have post-biblical descriptions of dinosaurs, all right? And we even have not petrified dinosaur bones, we have mummified dinosaurs that we have found. That is, where it's still skin. So they absolutely had to be, the giants of the land had to be on the ark. That's different from saying that all of the different genus of dinosaurs were on the ark. That doesn't mean that. But certainly some of them were, because we have evidences after the flood that they survived. The lack of vegetation probably is why they went extinct after the flood.
Wow, wow, that's remarkable. It helps you recognize that the story of Noah is very much a reasonable story
Yes, yeah.
based upon all the evidence that's being found. I think we got time for one more question. Right there.
Yes, I was just wondering, how did the animals that were on the ark, what made them not be able to eat Noah and his family? Like, how did that stop?
It says after the flood that Noah and his family, now you have to get all these animals out of the ark, and of course they were very powerful and very fierce, and Noah was afraid of them. That's why God put the fear of man in all of the animals. So there was danger of that, and of course we have an example of a full-size cage that would have been on the ark. Probably after the flood, the animals were so anxious to get off of that they didn't have time for Noah. They wanted to eat something more than the grain that they had been fed for over a year on the ark. So I'm sure that they had better things to do. The good thing is that Noah and his family did survive. And you can see here how small the 8 people that we have next to the white van, how small a human being would be compared to the ark. So they did survive. And of course, they were on the 3rd deck. We have 20th century evidence. His family, they had housing on the 3rd deck. You could easily keep all the animals on the 1st deck. And this is an automatic cage. It's automatic watering, automatic waste control. They didn't have to do much maintenance, so they could let them go by themselves.